Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Phantom Curiosities, where we talk about all the strange ghost stories and hauntings and visit them in person through makeup. So today's episode is about something very popular and well known and interesting, which is Walt Disney and the theme parks and amazing magic that he created. So let's get into it. Walt Disney, also known as Walter Elias, co-founded Walt Disney Productions with his brother Roy. Disney was an innovative animator and created the cartoon character Mickey Mouse. He won 22 Academy Awards during his lifetime and was the founder of the theme parks Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. The Walt Disney Studios' first deal was with the New York distributor to distribute their Alice cartoons. They also invented a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Disney then successfully filmed Mickey Mouse starring in Steamboat Willie, a short that opened in the Colony Theater in New York in November 1928. This led on to the early silent animated shorts starring Mickey Mouse playing Crazy and the Gallup Gaucho. In 1929, Disney created Silly Symphonies featuring Mickey's newly created friends Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto. Disney produced more than 100 featured films of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which premiered in 1937 and produced an unimaginable $1.499 million in spite of the Great Depression and won 8 Oscars. This led Walt Disney Studios to complete another string of full-length animated films over the next 5 years, such as Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, Cinderella, Treasure Island, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, and 101 Dalmatians. He also used television as an entertainment medium. The Zorro and Davy Crockett series were extremely popular with children, as was the Mickey Mouse Club, a variety show featuring a cast of teenagers known as the Mouseketeers. On July 17, 1955, Disney's $17 million Disneyland theme park opened in Anaheim, California. After a crazy opening day involving several mishaps, including the distribution of thousands of counterfeit invitations, the site became known as a place where children and their families could explore, enjoy rides, and meet the Disney characters. In a very short time, the park had increased its investment tenfold and was entertaining tourists from around the world. Disneyland has expanded its rides over time and branched out globally with Walt Disney World near Orlando, Florida, and parks in Tokyo, Paris, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. And a sister property opened called California Adventure in Los Angeles in 2001. In 1925, Disney hired an ink and paint artist named Lillian Bounds. After a brief courtship, they got married, and they had 2 children. But unfortunately, in 1966, Disney was diagnosed with lung cancer and died on December 15, 1966, at the age of 65 years old. Disney was cremated and his ashes interred at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. And this is where all the creepiness starts. Because everyone knows that Walt had an apartment over the fire station on Main Street, and that the light in the window is never turned off. A tribute to Walt when he died in 1966. But did you hear this? Before the tradition of leaving the light on began, a cast member turned off the light and left the room, only to find the light turned on again when she returned. The story goes that she heard a voice that said, "I am still here." There's a number of internet sites devoted to ghosts of Disneyland, and it's downright scary. But some of the recent cast members at Disneyland have been interviewed, and some of them were some of the workers in the Haunted Mansion. One of the workers talked about the belief among Disney employees that this place is inhabited by more than just the Disney-created 999 haunts. She said female employees talk about ghosts that untie the ribbons in cast members' hair. She said props move from one side of the room to the other. She said there are behind-the-scenes rooms in the Haunted Mansion that are so creepy employees avoid going inside them. Did you hear about the one-way rider on Space Mountain? Mr. One-Way? He's described as a large man with red hair and a red face. The legend is that he sits in the seat next to single riders, then he disappears by the end of the ride. He has also been spotted in the cast members' locker room. In June of 1966, a teenager tried to sneak into Disneyland for a grad night by climbing a fence and crossing the monorail track. When he was spotted by a security guard, the teenager ran, but he was struck and killed by the monorail train itself. It is said that the ghost of the teenager can be seen at night running alongside the monorail train. In 1984, a woman named Dolly Young was killed when she was thrown from the bobsled off the Matterhorn. Ever since her death, cast members who are required to walk the tracks when the ride shuts down say they can hear her. Some cast members call the section of track where Dolly died Dolly's Dip. The exit of the haunted mansion is said to be haunted by the ghost of a boy. The story goes that the boy's mother spread her son's ashes in the haunted mansion without Disneyland's permission. Legend has it that the ghost also appears on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and his name is the Crying Boy. A small plane crashed in the 1940s in Anaheim, and the pilot is now believed to be haunting the haunted mansion. A cast member saw the man with the cane at the loading dock where guests board some of those doom buggies, and he is known as the man with the cane. A ghost dressed in 19th century gown has been spotted on Main Street after dark. Legend has it that she guides lost children to Disneyland Baby Care Center where they can be reunited with their parents, and she is known as the Woman in White. In June of 1973, two brothers stayed on Tom Sawyer's Islands after the park closed. They tried to escape by swimming across the rivers of America. The older brother drowned. Cast members now have seen a ghost rippling the water. A teenager was killed in the People Mover ride in 1967. Legend has it that this ghost haunts Tomorrowland. The People Mover closed in 1995. The ghost reportedly grabs the hair of blonde guests. Construction on the Haunted Mansion began in 1963, and the story goes that one of the first test guests was so scared that she died of a heart attack inside the mansion. Her death, legend has it, led to the closing of the construction until 1969. At the Tower of Terror in Disneyland, it is said that one of the cast members was a bellhop for the last platform on the attraction. While loading guests one day, he dropped dead. Afterwards, strange things started happening, especially on the platform where he died. Lights will go on and off, and sometimes the ride freezes at the end of the day as other cast members do their nightly checks. People have claimed to catch sight of a ghost in the entrance of the attraction. However, when they would try to look directly at it, the ghost disappears. At Disneyland, many of the stores are supposedly haunted. The fourth floor of the stockroom of the Star Trader at the exit of Star Tours in Tomorrowland supposedly has cold spots and really creepy feeling to it. Now, Star Tours does not exist anymore, but I wonder if you go to that spot, if you still feel it. There are also stories of merchandise being rearranged on the shelves after the shop is locked up for the night when nobody's around. It's also heard that the Hatmosphere, the hat booth between America Sings and Tomorrowland, Autopia, is haunted. Supposedly, the sewing machine they use to embroider names on hats never gets warm, even after being used all day long, and once someone saw a face in it. One of the ice cream carts is also supposedly haunted. People have reported hearing a woman's voice even though there's no woman around. Ghosts in Walt Disney World also exist. The spirit of George, a worker who died there when a beam fell on him during construction, still haunts the attraction of the Pirates of the Caribbean. At the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, attraction workers must come on the PA system and tell George good morning and good night. If not, the attraction has been known to shut itself down, adding more work before the workers come and go for the night. George lets them know his displeasure with some mischief. The ride will shut down, mysterious phone calls will come from the empty control room, and some even say they catch sight of him on the monitors. On few occasions, riders have shouted that they don't believe in George, and mysteriously they end up being stuck on the ride for a long period of time. When the ride was being built in the early 70s, George was a welder who clearly welded different parts of the scenes on the attraction together. One particular area on the ride, called the Burning City, required George to climb up quite high above the ground. George lost his balance and fell to his death. If you talk to any of the employees at the Pirates, they will either know of someone who has had an incident with George, or there's a chance they have had one themselves. On Spaceship Earth, keep your eyes peeled for a little blonde girl that loves to ride in one of the cars. This girl also has a companion. There is a little ghost boy that she is often seen with her. In Disney World Orlando, there is known to be a tan figure also walking down the streets in front of the castle. In Epcot Spaceship Earth, a small girl with long blonde hair has been seen riding in a car, and a boy run in front of her and vanish in the same location, also outside during the day. The Tower of Terror at Walt Disney World, there has been a story among employees of a walking ghost around the Tower of Terror at all off hours. He's usually found walking the wrong way, does not respond to calls, and then disappears. Is the happiest place on earth really hiding mysterious shadows? And are these tales real? Also, thank you so much to mostlydead.com for providing the prosthetics. So make sure to check them out in the link in the description box below. Without them, videos like this won't be possible. And that, my friends, is all the hauntings of Walt Disney himself at Disneyland and Disney World and all the creepy things. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Leave me a comment down below on what you would also love to see on Phantom Curiosities. Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay spooky, creators, and have a good night. Bye!